Hey everyone, Vulpine Fever here. Thought I'd do something a bit different with some Black Ops 2 gameplay. This is the first video of this type I've made, and I'm doing this mostly to help all those new furries out there who are struggling to understand us as a fandom. I've had several people private message me over the years with questions and such about being a furry and what it is to be a furry. I've been making FMVs now for a while, and thought it was high time it was a decent video on for new furs that they can watch and will give them some idea of what they're becoming in ways that they may explain what they are to family members. Honestly, it can be quite tricky to figure out what exactly a furry is, and it can be even harder to explain it to members of your own family. I know myself it was hard to explain it to my parents when I was first starting out as a furry. At first they were unsure, but okay with it. Now I can only assume that they must have looked up furry on Google or something and seen a lot of the GIF pictures or pornographic furry images. Even though I tried to explain that that was not the reason I became a furry, they wouldn't have it, and I was forced for a long time to hide it from them. And well, when you're hiding something from people you live with all the time, it's not easy. Just wanted to take a minute to mention a video I saw the other day by a guy called Chris Williams. I'll put a link to it in the description, but it's very telling of what exactly a newcomer to our wonderful fandom can think, and some questions they can have. He talks a lot about his feelings at the time, but it was most of all thanks to one of his online friends getting him to go to a furry convention with him that helped him along, as well as some of the people that he met along the way. So, firstly, let's quickly go over what a furry is. Now, to be 100% specific, a furry is the humanization of an animal or non-human object, giving them human traits to a certain degree. This can range anywhere from making a fox or a wolf talk, when these are fondly referred to by us fandoms as ferals, all the way to making them stand on two legs and giving them hands, and these of which are known as anthros. But really, a furry can be anything in between, and they don't even need to be animals. There are many furries who have bugs, insects, or even robots as their persona. Nothing is off limits. Now, you're probably wondering about that word I just said, persona. What exactly is a persona? Well, that one is easy. A fursona is an anthropomorphic character made by someone. Each is unique and a personal representation of their creator. But you aren't restricted to just one persona. Many people have multiple personas, and that's completely fine. For example, I myself have two. A cheeky, fun-loving female red wolf called Sunette, or fondly called Sunny by her friends, and also a shy but reserved male dragon called Tasonus, or Tari for short. They both represent different but equally important parts of myself and my personality. When it does come time for one to make their persona, most people start out pretty basic and pick an animal that they like. But remember before how I mentioned that some people have robots or bugs as a persona? Well, you're in no way restricted by the species of your persona, or its colour, or its markings. You could, for example, make up your own species, or have a persona made of several species combined. Doesn't matter in the long run if you're a wolf, or a wolf-fox-eagle hybrid with neon pink fur and glowing red stripes. As long as it's what you feel represents you, then that's all that matters. And on a side note here, don't let people pressure you into altering your persona. Like I mentioned before, it's you the persona represents, not someone else. Now, on to explaining to people what you are as a furry. There have been many misconceptions about the furry fandom. Most people have no idea what it exactly is that we like. Most people only go off the CSI episode Fear and Loathing, which featured furries in the plot. Now, unfortunately, producers of that episode focused mostly on what is only a tiny percentage of furries and their activities. Most furries like myself tend to steer clear of things like that. Now, I won't go into any more detail on what happened in that episode, as, to be honest, I'm not really a fan of how it portrays the fandom. But if you're curious, then I'm sure there would be an episode somewhere on YouTube. Most furries prefer the more tame things. That's why when you watch for my FMVs, you'll notice I try to stick to the PG pictures and avoid the more risque ones. but be clear to state to people that you're talking to that while yes, there is a pornographic side to the fandom, and let's be honest, what fandom doesn't have stuff like that? That it's not that got you interested in the furries. For simplicity reasons, let's just assume that you haven't looked at youth pictures yet. Now, Wikipedia can be a good place to get them to start looking into what the fandom is about. Being a knowledge-based website, it has to stay neutral in its opinions, so all the information on there is 99% accurate and presented in a non-biased fashion. Then, it could be a good idea to look up on YouTube a few of the videos of the furry conventions that are held annually. You can even find news reports that have been made when our cons come to town. Now this is again where I mentioned Chris Williams of that video that he made, that I will put a link in the description to. And I'm not doing a plug or anything for him, but it's just because I believe it's a very good video to watch for new furs and old furs alike. Now, while watching these videos, your friends and family might ask about the people dressed up as their characters. You can tell them that they're known as fursuiters, and what they do is just one more way that some furries like to express themselves. Then it would be good to tell them furries like to express themselves in many other ways. Some with art, some with writing, and then the people who actually like to make the fursuits. On a side note, if they ask how much a fursuit can cost, you can just say it depends on how far you take it. For myself, the way I came into the fandom is thanks to movies like Robin Hood and Balto, and to a greater extent YouTube itself, which exposed me to proper furries. It was a Tales Rules picture in particular that sparked my curiosity, and from there it only grew and grew, until eventually I became what I am today. And of course, something like that is never has no resistance at all. Like, you'll never ever have someone go, oh, that's just weird, right? I got a lot of stuff like that from my family. But of course, videos on YouTube that I made got a lot of haters as well. I still receive hate mails to this day, but all you have to do really is ignore it. Just push it aside. If it's on YouTube, just block the person. If it's on some other website, just block the person, ignore them. They're just one person. They don't control your life. The key thing is not to let them get to you. Never stop being a furry. So, well, that pretty much wraps things up for the video. If you still have more questions, please don't hesitate to post a question in the comments, or if you're really shy, you can always private message me. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. But, well, thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you next time. Vulpine Fever, out.